God. Hey guys, this is the first time that I've been on my own in the house since Chi died, and it's been such fucking weird few days, guys. I can't tell you, it's been so weird. And even now, as I'm sitting here and looking over there towards where she would always be, like looking at me like I was such an idiot. That's what I'll miss about her. But anyway, there's loads of things I'll miss about. But yeah, it's just been such a bizarre few days. And my daughters have been just so upset, and all of us, both Mark and I, have got a lot of other stuff going on for us at the moment. And it's just been very strange in the middle of everything that's going on, you know, the world being such a mess, Mark's mum being so ill, my dear, dear friend Hannah being so ill. And then out of the blue, our dog suddenly gets so ill and dies. And it doesn't stop the fact that Mark's mum's ill. It doesn't stop the fact that my friend is so ill. It doesn't stop the fact that there's terrible things going on in the world. And it doesn't stop any of those things. And if you're not a dog lover, and if you've never loved a dog, it's very difficult to understand, I think, what a huge thing it is when you lose an animal, not just a dog, you know, and anyone, when you lose a pet, it's just a pet, somebody that's some living thing that has been a part of your family that is not a human being. It's very, very difficult for people that have never had that kind of love to be able to understand it. But what I have discovered over the last few days is, I mean, right from when we were at the vet and I was upset and one of my daughters was upset outside the vet, and this woman had seen it and she said, listen, why are you in the queue? Just go ahead of me. I lost my dog and I can't remember how his Toffee. He's feeling very weird and lonely. Come on, Toffee. Come on. Come on. You see Toffee? Toffee doesn't really know what's going on, do you? She keeps hiding she keeps doing all the things that were so annoying with Chi. She's doing them like Chi's doing. I know. Oh, I don't even know what I'm saying. I don't even know where I started and where I was heading to, but I just wanted to just say that with all the messages that we've had, oh yeah, right from the woman in the vet, you know, for a lot of people who don't have a pet, just be really sweet with people that have lost one, as sweet as you would be if they lost any other family member. I kind of knew that before I had dogs, but I didn't really, because we weren't a big pet family. I thought that, yeah, you know, if somebody's pet dies, then yeah, you know, that's sad. But it'd be like, well, you know, they died, and you know, oh, it was when I was younger. But oh my God, there is such a massive gap of energy in the house. It's just an energy that has gone. And I said to the girls, when they keep like not, you know, they keep getting this dropped feeling in them. And I said, God, so do I. It's where it's like you're all right, and then you get a dropped feeling. Like, it's like a feeling of panic. Like my heart goes right down to my gut. It's very scary feeling, and it is different for me than it is for the girls, because of so much of what I'm engaged in the world, and just like what we've had to see people going through, and to lose a loved one. Oh, I don't know what I'm saying. I know people hate this saying. So many people get so angry with it, and my family get angry with it, but I don't. I get comfort from it, and it is grief is the price we pay for love, and it is. My kids were like, Mum, that's an awful saying, because it means that whenever we love, we're going to have to pay a price. And I was like, well, yeah. Exactly. But if we don't take the risk to love, whether that is our pet, our partner, the world, if we don't take the risk to love, then the risk to be hurt by loving, then we never get the joy of loving either. And I mean, my friend Lisa, she lost her dog years ago, and she said, oh, I'll never be able to have another dog. She said, they went for years and never be able to have another dog. I have a dog now that they love very much, but we say that, don't we? It's like when you have one child and then you're having another child and you think, oh my God, how am I going to love? How am I going to love again? How am I going to love another child? And like, it's interesting because the girls are young, they still think you can swerve the pain of love, but you can't. And you know, they're feeling mortality. I mean, I just like had a bit of a coughing, hiccuping fit the other day in the car, and both the girls were like, Mum, what's the matter? And it's like, oh God, they've got that sense of mortality. And it's not until you lose somebody that you know that you can lose somebody, whether that's your pet or a person or your love, a lover, or grief. Everyone should own their grief, and oh, you know, how can you be upset? You only knew that person for a few weeks. Or how can you be so upset, you know, you knew he was a bastard. How can you be upset? It was just a dog. How can you be upset? You know, we do that, don't we? And I've been doing it to myself. I've been thinking, you know, how can you be upset about a dog? There's so much horror. But it's because because we're humans, and because we can have many, many thoughts and feelings at the same time. We can care about things and still feel the loss of something that some other person would think is nothing, but another person would think is everything. And that's grief. And grief, I remember years ago when somebody very close to me died, and everyone was very judgmental about the way I was being or the way I wasn't being. And I remember saying, can someone give me the book that everyone else has got on how you're supposed to be? And I've never had this before. I've never lost a pet before like this. I mean, we nearly lost her years ago, 4 years ago. So we just keep saying, you know, well, we're lucky because we got much longer than we should have, and we are lucky, and we know that, and we're lucky that we could pay the enormous bills the last time when she was really ill. Wouldn't be able to pay those again, wouldn't have been able to pay those again, but that wasn't even a choice. But you know, we've been lucky, we were lucky. Many people lose their pets simply because they can't afford to pay for them. And that broke my heart when we were in the vet. So I was saying to Mark, imagine if you were sitting with your pet and that's all you've got in the world, like the loneliness, or your, I mean, I love my dogs, don't get me wrong, but there's somebody that I know that her dog she tried for years to have a child and she couldn't have a child, and her dog is just the same as her child, just the same. Like, as if she'd had a child, she would yeah. And that should always have that grief should always have the same respect, I think. we don't have to understand everybody's grief, do we? But I think that we have to try and respect it. And it's just been nice being on my own in the house, because I feel like I've been wanting to make things better for my kids, and that's right, and that helps me because I'm a rescuer, and steer Mark through. And then I just have guilt for feeling this sad, because I'm trying so hard to just own my sadness and say it's all right to feel this sad, but it's so easy for me to trip into. How can you, imagine Palestinians when they're losing their child, and actually a beautiful little Palestinian child who's anyway. I don't really know what I'm saying. It's just like a stream of consciousness, I suppose, and I think I think that's all right, isn't it? So what happened with Chi-Chi was she wasn't very well, and because years ago she was very unwell and she was on steroids for a while, she quite often has days where she just feels a bit shit, and you can see she feels a bit shit, and she might like stumble around a bit, but she's all right. And then she's never been the same since she had vasculitis, never been the same. And a bit old and a bit like cranky, not cranky, never cranky, sweetest soul. Honestly, that dog, sorry, that dog was the sweetest soul. You could put your hand into her mouth and take out her favourite treat and she wouldn't even growl at you. Mind you, she growls at berries. My dad always wears a beret, and my dad's the only person she growls at, and we worked out that she doesn't like berets. But yeah, so she was really, so then she then got, you could see she was like, she went completely off her food and water, and anyway, so we got her to the emergency vet, and she had a renal failure. Now, this could be down to lots of things. Cocker Spaniels, which we believe she's half Cocker Spaniel. Well, no, she's half Cocker Spaniel, what I'm talking about. Cockers are susceptible to it. But then because she'd had vasculitis and was really ill and nearly died 4 years ago, she had to be on steroids for quite a while. And steroids in dogs isn't great. So that may have affected her kidneys, but they said, she could have had kidney disease for years. It's like humans can have it, and there's no symptoms, and then suddenly you're drastically ill. So that was really upsetting at the vets, and we had to leave her there, and we did not like that. So we had to leave her there. She was supposed to be there for 3 days while they did tests. But it was that day they rang us and said she had renal failure, and this is like stage 4. It's really bad news. I was like, okay. And then I said to Mark, can't we just bring her home? And it was like, no, they put her on a drip, and that was really awful. None of us liked her. The vet is lovely. They were great, can't fault them. But we didn't want her in a kennel if she was like stage 4. It was just weird. Anyway. So then she stayed there another day, and then they seemed to say, well, she's really bad, but, she could, with medication, get a little teeny bit longer. And then we said, well, can we just bring her home? She's not on the drip now. Let's just bring her home and give her this medicine, because we just wanted her with us. If she was going to die, we wanted her at home, not at the vets, without us there. So she came home, and we had the most beautiful day. It was a beautiful day. It really was, because she always loved being outside, and we loved one of my things that I really loved about her was the way she would just sit outside, so regal. She would sit like this, and she had no ego, that dog, not like Toffee. Toffee's the biggest egomaniac diva dog. She's coming now. Diva dog, like always showing off, just like, yeah, she's the diva. But Chi-Chi was the hippie dog, the Zen dog, the yoga dog. And she would sit with you and not ask you for anything. She just wouldn't ask you for anything. She'd just be nuzzling her head, nuzzling. And my daughter and I were talking about that thing. It's like a horse's head. She had a really big like head. She could just nuzzle into you and just, yeah, there was a real feeling of like, you know how some people have it where they're just like a forever. I always say there's some people you look in their eyes and you can see like foreverness. That's what Chi-Chi was like. I can't tell you how weird it is to be in the house and to be able to just say how I'm feeling, because there's so many things going on at the moment, and it's just, I think so often as women we do this, don't we? We keep pushing on, pushing through, pushing on, pushing through. So it's nice to be able to sit with my feelings of it. I mean, when anybody asks me how you're feeling about it, so, you know, we're sad, but you know, we're sad. Because you don't want to really tell people, because people either aren't really doggy people. I'm not a doggy person. I wouldn't say I'm a doggy person. I just love my dog. And then everyone's got their shit going on, haven't they? And I think that's what I found from the messages that I've had and the people I was talking to in the fair. And yeah, it's you just have to shut up and just get on with it, don't you? Not because anyone has ever made me feel like that, but it's just what I impose. We all impose it, don't we? So maybe this is a good chat for people that maybe don't want to just shut up about it. Because the great thing is, if I'm going on too much, you can just turn it off. When friends don't think they can do, they can just go, oh, can you just shut up about your dog now? But anyway, so we had a lovely day, really lovely day. And we spent quite a bit of time trying to find out how she wanted to be. She kept getting up and she kept in the room like, oh God. She was here with the door open in her basket just there by the door. And then the sun came out and it's beautiful. And I remember, you know, we were talking about how she used to love just sitting and watching the land, so to speak, and then giving her if a fox came nearby. So maybe she wants to be outside. So we opened the doors, just like, so we opened those doors wide like that, and then just took the basket out and sat with her for ages there, ages. Me and the girls and Martin were coming in and out. Maddie came back from college because we said to her that we thought she was probably going to die that day. She's inconsolable, completely. She's still inconsolable. She's inconsolable. She says she's never felt anything like this before. And very different, the girls, the way they deal with it, like me. Like Maddie's more like Mark, and my youngest is more like me. We tend to just sort of like push on and push through, and Mark and Maddie are much more I don't know what the right word is, actually. It's interesting. Because we're all feeling the same amount, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know, why does everything have to be quantified? I don't know. We're just different, we're just all different. But so we sat there. So that was me and my youngest and Mark. And then Maddie came back, and then by that time she kept wanting to be round, sort of hidden a bit. And I looked that up and it said, yeah, sometimes they'll look for a bush or an outbuilding. So then we thought, oh, this is it. Because she was very lethargic. She was in no pain. That's the amazing thing. The vet said, at no point has she been in pain. I mean, what a blessing is that? No upset, no nothing. But she was looking for her place to die. She was kind of nesting for where to die, I think. And then she came back in here, and then we spent the afternoon here, and then her breathing was getting more and more shallow. And then the most traumatic part of all of it was she then had a fit. And we were not expecting it. And the girls were just horrified. They were screaming, they were running, they ran away, and they didn't know whether to run to her or away from her. And we thought, oh, this is it, she's going to die. So she had this massive fit, and then her breathing was really shallow. And we sat with her for ages thinking, this is it. And it just like, and then that made me think of the people, my friend who has his son has epilepsy, and I was like, no, she's told me about how traumatic it is, and I'm totally traumatized by her stories of how traumatic it is when he has a fit, but I'd never seen one. And so I was just thinking of her, and I was thinking like, God, it's like seeing your son, seeing your loved one going through epilepsy. Yeah, it was just, you know, it's just so many thoughts. So lots of chaotic thoughts, but I do think with grief, I was saying to my family, it's like there's like a million flashes of life in my head, like that all the time now, and has been thinking of this person and that person and this situation and that situation, just like back and forth and back and forth. It's like being mad, but I welcome that intensity because it's what makes us human, and with a lot of very inhuman people in the world at the moment, I relish feeling all these things that are human: terrible sadness, joy, hate, anger, peace, all of it. Bring it all on, because it's what makes us great as human beings, doesn't it? And if only more people, actually, more people in power could just feel things like empathy and loss and grief and interesting. How are you feeling since your dog died? Oh, okay. But actually I'm thinking a million different things and feeling a million different things, and they're all valid. They're all valid. And the other thing is, Mark and I have said this often, haven't we, on Coffee Moaning? It's like the other thing is, grief does not leave us, we grow around it. Now, you can be angry with me saying that or not, but that's in my experience. We grow around it. We learn to live with it. We don't lose it. It doesn't go anywhere, but we learn to live with it. And that's the same if it's a human or a dog or a love, or we learn to grow around it. And I think that's, you know, it's both one of the joys and the horrors of life, you know. Anyway, so we had the rest of the day and we went to bed really thinking that she might, you know, take her last breath in the night, and people were coming to and froing to check on her. And then in the morning we found her and she was just very shallow breathing. So we said to the girls, we now don't know how she's feeling. She wasn't crying or anything, but she just was like, we just thought, so I rang the vet. I said, what should we do? Obviously we would have liked her to die at home. They said, well, we think you should bring her in. And we did that because we did not want to be in a situation where she was maybe in pain and just too weak to whelp or to... so we knew we were taking her in to put her to sleep. And again, the girls were inconsolable. Mark and I were being strong. And then when we went into the room, when we got to the vet, I don't think any of us were like strong, inverted commas for a better word. We all just collapsed and just howled. And then we had the most lovely vet, a lovely vet. Where did we go? What vet was it called? Medivet in Camberwell. Yeah, they were very kind. Oh God, when we walked in, because we were, it's kind of funny, because as we were walking into the vet, we were all just distraught. We had to park around the corner and she was in her basket. And, you know, it's a big basket. You guys who know us well will know it. The basket that always sits over there that isn't there now because it's at the vet's. It's just so weird. I can't tell you. Anyway, so we were carrying her down the street into the vet. It was just like, she looks like fucking Queen of Sheba. She was like this. She lifted her head up. She was like, and it was just lovely, because for a minute it was like the old Chi-Chi who would sit out on the veranda watching out for all of us. Anyway, took her in, and as we went in, there was this lovely woman, and she was sat with her dog, and she went, oh, and she saw the dog coming in. She wasn't distressed, our dog. She wasn't distressed, but she knew, and she just couldn't stop sobbing. This woman just was crying, because obviously she was thinking about her own dog, and she was thinking about if she lost her dog. And it was just hard. It was a lot of love from other pet owners. There was a guy there with his cat, and he was, you know, everybody knows, don't they? Everybody knows. It's like if you were in a hospital with your loved one, you see another loved one coming in on a stretcher, you're going to be like, oh my God. So there was that. Anyway, so then, yeah, the vet was so lovely. He took her off. He said, and then he brought her back, and he said, listen, she's not in any pain, but, you know, she's not going to get better, you know, kind of thing. So I need to put in a drip. He went, took her away and put a drip in. She came back. She was gentle. She was easy. She was, honestly, the amount of love that she was having poured into her. And they said, you know, like with a dog, well, with any animal, not just your dog, have the emotion, because they do feel it and they do love it. So, you know, have it. Sometimes they want to go off and they want to be at home, but not Chi-Chi. Chi was like, just give it all to me. And we were just, anyway, then it was so lovely. The vet, he said, shall I leave her again with you? Yes. So kind. So then he went off again. Then he came back, and the girls wanted to be looking at her, so they were looking at her, and I was round the back, just like stroking her head. And then the girls were just like, no, because they'd obviously, I think Chi-Chi was looking at them, and they put the stuff in, and then she was just gone. But it was so peaceful, like nothing, like no trauma for the dog whatsoever, just like a second. And she just carried on sleeping. And it's like I said to the girls, she's just sleeping on. She's just having the best sleep of her life. It's funny things, isn't it? Grief. Then one of the girls was too upset. One of the girls really wanted to stay with her, and the other, I'm saying one of the girls because I don't want to say their names because it's their stuff, but one was really wanted to stay with her, and the other one just like couldn't breathe, which I was a bit like. I needed air. I needed to. She was just, it just so felt like she was just sleeping because she was still warm. Anyway, I came back in to go and see how they were with Chi-Chi. And a nurse came out and went, Chi-Chi, and I was like, oh, I was just about to go, no, she's dead. And then, what is the likelihood of this? This man got up, and it was this tiniest little ball of white fluff, which just looked so like Chi-Chi when Chi-Chi was a puppy. And this little dog, she wasn't a puppy, she was one of those handbaggy dogs, just trotted across, and she was called Chi-Chi. Now, what is the likelihood of that? That is not a usual name, Chi-Chi. But I just chose, and I was like, oh, I just chose to see that as a lovely moment, to be honest. It just reminded me of us as a puppy, and maybe even I'll put up a picture of her as a puppy, because she was just so gorgeous. And I remember saying to Kiki, because she was Kiki's birthday on the 6th, which was 6 years old, and she's Kay Adams from Loose Women, my friend's dog's sister. And we drove all the way to Carlisle and all the way back, and she sat on my lap all the way back, Chi-Chi. Tiny ball of fluff. And then we kept her hidden away for 2 days before Christmas. No, it wasn't Christmas, it was Kiki's birthday, that's right. Yeah. I've got ringing in my ears. Yeah, so now it's just getting on with it. So I thought it would be nice if anybody just wants to share how they're feeling about their loss, their grief under here, because even if it was like 20, 30 years ago, whatever, because we're all told there's a certain point where we're supposed to just be okay with it. We're never okay with loss, but we grow around it. And sometimes it's nice to just remember. So thanks, guys, and thanks so much for all your lovely messages to me and my family. And I know loads of you love Chi-Chi, and my God, if I ever did another Kim Kardashian video reel, what will it be like without Chi-Chi standing in the background going, what the fuck are you doing?